I'd always kind of dreamed of adventure in some kind of way. And so every single summer through high school and college, I painted houses every single summer with this dream. I was like, I'm going to save a couple $1,000s. I needed the money to pay for books and stuff like that. But I'm going to sock away a couple $1,000s when I graduate from college. I'm going to take a trip around the world. And so I ended up buying the cheapest student ticket I could find with like the weirdest layovers and stuff like that. Ended up, traveling around the world on a shoestring budget. Had a backpack.
What was
and
the
a
budget?
Surfboard. I had $10,000 for a year. So that's like, it's like something like,
Oh, I wouldn't have went.
yeah, like $30 a day or something like
Yeah.
that. I mean, I was hitchhiking because I didn't want to pay for the bus. I'd like meet random people and they'd invite me to their house and be like, cool, can I sleep on your floor? I was out there, man, having an adventure, which was an incredible experience all until I found myself in Thailand, actually, on a small beach in rural Thailand, a tiny little island. And I started jumping this flaming jump rope because I was 22 years old and I was like, hey, that looks like fun. And in an instant, wasn't a good idea, it turns out. In an instant, my life changed. The rope wrapped around my legs and lit my body completely on fire to my neck.
Wait, slow down.
Yeah.
Slow down. So people are taking turns in this flaming jump rope.
Yeah,
Like,
it's crazy. Like, it sounds like a ridiculous thing, and it is ridiculous. However, it's not like I made this up. Like, people do this. If you Google on YouTube, like, Thailand fire rope, like, you'll see, stupid travelers, like, jumping this flaming jump rope. Sometimes people trip, of course, but usually what happens is it just kind of bounces off them, kind of like your finger through a flame.
okay.
But it had
But
just
not
been
you.
lit with kerosene, and I didn't realize it, and it tripped me. It actually wrapped around my legs, and then it sprayed excess kerosene to my body up to my neck. And so all of a sudden my body, with my clothes lit on fire. And so I was on fire to my neck. And fortunately, the ocean was about 10 steps away. And so I got up off the ground, untangled myself, and jumped into the ocean, which no one's ever heard of this. It was just a freak accident because the excess kerosene splattered me in this way. And it just was like, basically bad situation.
Okay, so you take yourself to the,
Jump in the ocean, extinguish the flames, and then look down, and I basically got no skin, on the lower half of my legs, all the way down, feet, my right hand burned. I basically, you should see some pictures from, fortunately I don't have too bad of scars now, but I had no skin on the lower half of my whole body.
How long were you on fire?
Probably like 10 seconds or so, like not that long, but enough to get severe second and third degree burns. So literally the skin, just no skin at all on the lower half of my body. And I ended up being taken in there was no ambulance, but a moped ride down a dirt path to a one-room nursing station. I had 8 surgeries in the middle of nowhere in Thailand where there was a cat running across my chest and around my bed in this makeshift ICU.
Because how are the hospitals in Thailand now?
Exactly.
Yeah.
One thing Thailand, but this is like middle of nowhere island off the coast of Thailand. I mean, it was like middle of nowhere, remote. And the doctor said to me, which, ultimately kind of changed my life, but they looked at me and they said, look, you'll probably never walk again normally. That was kind of the diagnosis on the early days of that, which led to a deep negative downward spiral.
Okay, tell me about your mom and how she helped you to bounce back from that accident.
I was in that Thai hospital in the middle of nowhere. Doctors had said to me, you'll probably never walk again normally, which, talk about another time where my mental equilibrium was completely lost. It's downward spiraling. And my mom, she arrives on about the 5th day. She comes and finds me. Depression, yeah. The physical pain was immense, but I was an athlete. I was in my body, right? Like, that's my, the way I think about myself. I was a nationally ranked swimmer at the time, things like that. And all of a sudden, one stupid mistake and boom, life changed in an instant. And I felt so stupid, man. Like, it was obviously just my mistake. No one else to blame but myself. And I just said to myself, life's never going to be the same. My mom arrives on the 5th day, and I can only imagine now what it's like to be a parent and see your kid in this helpless state, writhing in pain, screaming. She told me now that she was in the hallways talking to the doctors, pleading for good news, crying with them. She was afraid as well, but she never showed me that fear. Every second she stepped into my hospital room, she had this huge smile on her face and this air of positivity, daring me to dream about the future. She said, Colin, I said, my life's over, Mom. The doctors told me I'm never going to walk again normally. She goes, put that out of your mind. And she goes, okay. I said, what do you want me to do? She goes, close your eyes. I want you to visualize yourself in whatever healthy state, what that looks like for you. I close my eyes. She says, she sees me smile a little bit. She goes, what'd you see? And I said, that sounds ridiculous. I don't even want to tell you. She goes, no, what'd you see? I said, well, I saw myself racing a triathlon. I've never done that before. I was a swimmer, like I said. I've never biked or run any of that. And she goes, great. Well, that's your new goal. And I was like, what are you talking about? Look at my legs. I'm bandaged from the waist down. And she goes, no, that's not only your new goal. You're going to do that one day, but actually you're going to start training right now. I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, Doc, I need some weights. Doc's like, what are you talking about? She convinces this Thai doctor to bring in these 10-pound dumbbells. And I have these pictures of me lifting in my hospital bed 10-pound dumbbells with this Thai doctor looking at me like, man, this stupid American kid, someone just knock some sense into this kid. He's never going to walk. I'm like, Doc, I'm training for a triathlon. Like bandaged from the waist down. But my mom instilled in me this moment, what I now call, and I write about this in my book, The 12-Hour Walk, this concept that I call now a possible mindset. And I define that as an empowered way of thinking that unlocks a life of limitless possibility. She's daring me to dream about these limitless possibilities despite the negativity of the circumstance. So I finally flew back to Portland, Oregon, where I was from. I was carried on and off the plane. I was placed in a wheelchair when I got home. I still hadn't taken a single step. Long road to recovery. My mom helping me take my first step. Months and months go by. But I finally took a job in Chicago as a young man. I wanted to get on with my life. Still had these compression garments on. I was learning how to walk again. I moved to Chicago.
So you were rehabbing in Portland, but you took a job in Chicago.
And then I moved to Chicago after I was like a little bit more advanced in my rehab. But I never gave up on that goal, and I signed up for the Chicago Triathlon. And 18 months after being burned in this fire, 18 months after the doctors told me I'd never walk again, I raced the Chicago Triathlon. I finished the race. And in that moment, I had achieved my goal, but I surprised the hell out of myself that day, which is I hadn't actually just finished the race, but I actually won the entire Chicago Triathlon, placing first out of nearly 4,000 participants on the day.
You're just fucking gifted.
For me, the moral of that story, honestly, it wasn't like, oh, wow, I won. I must be some superhuman athlete. For me, the moral of that story is something that we can all take away from that, which is I believe as humans, every single one of us, we have reservoirs of untapped potential sitting inside of us. And bad things are going to happen, man. That is part of life. I don't care how rich you are, poor you are, young you are, old you are. Life is hard sometimes. And in those moments, we're full of doubt. Should I give up? Why is this happening to me? But I've come to realize that I think there's only one question that truly matters when facing these great obstacles, which is, how are we going to respond? Are we going to lean into the fear? Or are we going to lean into the love? Is this an insurmountable obstacle? Or is this a huge opportunity for growth? And my mother, through this burn accident, taught me one of life's most important lessons. And people have asked me, Colin, go back in a time machine. You can whisper in your 22-year-old ear, don't jump the rope. Do you not jump the rope? And it's weird, man. I don't wish that burn accident on my worst enemy.
But you jump it again.
But I would jump it again because it taught me such a valuable lesson. And I'm sitting here having set 10 world records using my legs. But I'm certain that I would not have done that hadn't I learned about the grit and the resilience and the power within me through those ones. I didn't get to the 10s without that one.